has been in power from 2015 to 2025. They have run this country for the past 10 years. If you think that it's been easy or easier to buy a house for the past 10 years in this country than it was before 2015, then vote liberal. If you think that life in Canada has been more affordable than it was before 2015, then vote liberal. If you think that crime has not been an issue in Canada for the past 10 years than it was before 2015, vote liberal. If you think that one of our most vital resources, which is energy, oil, coal, rare earth minerals, mining, things that we have even more of than the Americans. If you think that industry has been doing great for the past 10 years than it was before 2015, vote liberal. If you think that you can afford groceries better than you could before 2015, vote liberal. But if you've answered no to any or all of the questions that I've asked, I would suggest voting for the Conservatives. Because I'll tell you one thing. All of these issues, in my view, are worse off than they were before 2015. And all of these issues, affordability, crime, our energy industry, the fact that these issues are in a poorer state than they were means that we are at a disadvantage with the Americans, with Donald Trump, with China, even with Vladimir Putin's Russia. Now, only a very few short months ago, Canadians were as eager to get rid of the Liberals than old people were to get rid of a hernia. But because Donald Trump decided that he does not want to buy things from Canada anymore, only he wants to buy it from America, and he wants to place tariffs on things coming from Canada, the Canadians have decided that we want to switch back to the Liberals because they might be tougher with Trump. But you have to understand something. The Liberals have been in power in this country for 10 years. And in that 10 years, they have made Canada end up in a position where we are actually in a very weak position, so weak that we are at a gross disadvantage when it comes to fighting Donald Trump. How can you tell me that you want to fight Donald Trump and vote liberal because you want to fight Donald Trump when the Liberals have placed this country in such a weak position that we cannot fight Donald Trump even if we want to? And don't tell me that Mark Carney will be changed and make a difference. Y'all hated Justin Trudeau. Brought in Mark Carney. He will make the difference. But Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. And the economy has never been in a worse position in this country than it has ever been. And it is because of the 10-year rule of the Liberals. That doesn't compute with me. That doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to vote for it. Every other country that I have seen that is developed has gotten rid of incumbent leaders who have had a poor record. Germany, the Netherlands, France, England, America, and almost South Africa, which, by the way, has a reputation of rigging their elections. All of these countries have a reputation of either completely or almost completely getting rid of incumbent governments, which have had a reputation even less than the reputation than the Liberals have had. It's funny how the media likes to say that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives don't have any plans or don't have any ideas to solve the issues of Canada. But then on the other hand, they want to criticize Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre for talking only about the bread and butter issues of Canada and not talking about how they want to criticize Donald Trump. CBC, CTV Global, CHCH, CP24, Toronto Star. They all talk about how Pierre Poilievre is not talking enough about how bad Donald Trump is. And I agree, Donald Trump is not treating us well. I'm against the fact that Donald Trump says he's not going to buy anything from Canada. He wants to put a 25% tariff on everything we have. Even though there are things we have like rare earth minerals, we have more of those than America has in abundance. And America needs more of those rare earth minerals than we do. Why not buy it from us instead of buying it from unfriendly countries? So I'm against that. But how can you only criticize what Donald Trump's doing without discussing the bread and butter issues that will make our country more powerful and bring us to a more powerful position to stand up against him? It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, we shouldn't vote for him. So for all my fellow Canadians, Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, Ontario, from there you will see Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and good old BC. And let's not forget the territories, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, Nunavut. It doesn't make sense to support the Liberals again, especially since they have given us such a terrible record to stand up against the big, bad Donald Trump. If you want to stand up to Trump, let's listen to what Pierre Poilievre has to say. Let's listen to his solutions to these problems. Let's remember the fact that the last time Pierre Poilievre was a part of a government, we had the richest middle class. We didn't have inflation. We were doing swimmingly well when the rest of the world was struggling with the 2008 inflation. And none of that had anything to do with Mark Carney when he was just the governor of the Bank of Canada, and all his job was to make sure how high or low our interest rates were. No, that job was done by the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister and the people in government who had to make the decisions that would be consequential to our financial system. It doesn't make sense to support the Liberals. You cannot stand up for Team Canada with the past 10 years of the Liberal record. This is the. In closing, let me just say this quickly. If your life is better off, if your life has been better off for the past 10 years than it was before that, go for the Liberals. And I'll tell you, if Canadians do that, the Liberals will be wiped out. Because I bet you my bottom dollar, most Canadians, blue, red, orange, or green, their lives have been worse off for the past 10 years than it was before these past 10 years. And it doesn't make sense to support a government when your life has been worse off for the past 10 years than it was